I've worked with enough people now to know that if you're going to fall down in 2026, I've got a pretty good idea of how you're going to do it. In this episode of Let's Talk Confidence, I'm going to reveal 4 ways specifically that you'll fail or fall down in your goals this year. I'm going to break them down and I'm going to show you how you could avoid making the mistakes that most others are going to make this year. Welcome to Let's Talk Confidence, the first and last place you need to go to build long-lasting confidence. I'm your host and coach, Josh Sutton. Please do give the podcast a follow, drop a quick review, and share this episode with someone who always starts January on fire and then ends up back at square one by March. It helps us to grow and helps more people build confidence that actually lasts. Right, let's dive in. Let me be clear. I don't want you to fail this year. Really. This isn't a prophecy or a prediction. But if you're going to fail, it's probably going to be in at least one of the ways that I outline over the next 20 minutes. And here's the crux. It's only by knowing this and knowing some of the reasons that people might fail that enables you to actually attempt to avoid making these mistakes in the first place. Make sure you stick around to the end. Not because the last one's massively better than the others. It just helps with my engagement figures. You do know that's why people say that, don't you? Anyway, let's get into it. Number 1, you're going to drown in all the noise online. The internet is noisy, really noisy. Everyone is offering something, be it a product or a shiny version of their lives. The thing is, when the barrier to entry in something is really high, only the serious and the skilled take part. When the barrier to entry is low, then every muppet and his dog gets involved. Nowadays, it takes a couple of taps and a badly written prompt, and you can create a mini Hollywood-level movie and completely transform the way you look with zero skill and knowledge. Everything looks professional. Everything looks believable. And for that reason, ironically, we're starting to doubt all of it. Yet we're still curious if it is real. You still wonder if you're missing some secret that everyone else knows. So you're caught between checking out social media and hating yourself for doing so. It's also a favourite form of procrastination because it can feel like progress. You're not wasting time, you're learning, you're doing research, you're staying up to date. You're investing in yourself. And look, sometimes, yeah, it's true. There are brilliant people online. Hey there. There are great strategies and genuinely useful frameworks. But, and this is a big but, I'm sure I'm cueing a song there, but most of the time, this is what's actually happening. You just feel behind and you don't fully trust your own judgment yet. So you keep looking for the thing, the secret, the missing piece, the one funnel or strategy or productivity system, the one AI tool nowadays, one script or offer, or the one 3 steps to that'll finally make it all click. That secret sauce that will finally unlock everything. I'm just going to say this as plainly as possible. There isn't any secret sauce. You can replay that bit if you want to. There are principles, there are proven approaches, but there isn't a magic strategy that removes the need for repetition, discomfort, patience, and doing the basics well again and again and again. There's no substitute for being you and leaning into what makes you tick, excited and energized. The real danger of online noise is that you start to doubt who you are, and that who you are and your authenticity is enough. You hear the next promise, whether it's earning more, working less, losing weight while stuffing your face, etc. And curiosity makes you reach for your wallet. I know you do that because I've done that. I've been there. You buy the course, you join the community, you download the templates, you watch the webinar, you get that hit of dopamine and feel inspired for What should we go for? 48 hours at most? And then the work shows up and you're right back to where you were again, scrolling. I used to run a youth group with my wife, and there was this pretty savvy 15-year-old there. This was the days where eBay was the go-to place for selling things. You remember that? He started making money online, and we got curious. After persistent asking over many weeks, he sheepishly admitted his tactic. He sold an ebook to people on how they could become rich, promising that if his buyers bought his book, they too could profit in the way he had. I didn't know how literal he was being. And he sold a lot of copies. Do you know what he was selling? He was actually selling a 2-page PDF that told people to do exactly the same thing that he was doing. A classic pyramid scheme, if ever there was one, operated by a 15-year-old. Genius. I probably should have told his parents, but, it was genius and terrible. Let me make that quite clear. Yet, I feel that's the case with a lot of online promises at the moment. The only thing, really, that you're guaranteed to be shortcutting is the business owner's time frame to their next Ferrari. Here's how you know that you're stuck in the noise and you're making this mistake. Firstly, you feel totally out of alignment with what you're doing, seeking validation and approval from others constantly. Next, you keep changing strategy before you've given the last one long enough to work. You start 10 things and you finish none. You've got notebooks full of plans, drive folders full of PDFs. You feel busy, but you aren't building anything solid. You're switching lanes every time you see someone else going faster or doing something a little bit different. You're letting people, or AI of course, tell you what success looks like without deciding what that is for yourself. So what's the antidote, if you like? Firstly, make sure you are defining your own definitions of success. Whether this is in business, in family, in your finances, etc. Decide what success looks like to you, completely independent of anyone or anything else. Secondly, choose a primary strategy for whatever you're working on for the next 90 days. Not forever, just 90 days, 3 months. Decide what game you're playing and stop playing three at once. Pick the one channel you're going to show up on constantly. Pick the one offer that you're going to sell. Pick the one metric that matters right now to you. Pick the one thing that you care about. And here's a tool that stops you being hijacked by shiny objects. Create a parking list. Every time you see a new idea or tactic, write it down, sure, but don't act on it. Park it. And then once a week, you can review the list and ask one question. Is this a genuine improvement to my current plan, or is this just a distraction from the hard things that I need to do? Because honestly, most of these things are going to be distractions. Maybe a few are useful. And the discipline is not in spotting good ideas. The discipline is in not letting good ideas pull you away from finishing what you already committed to do. Number 2, you're going to try to do everything. Mistake number 2. You're trying to do everything. This one is so common in January, it's almost tradition. You decide that this year you're going to be a new person. You're going to have the perfect morning routine. You're going to train 5 times a week. You're going to meditate. You're going to journal. You're going to read constantly. You're going to eat clean, whatever clean means. You're going to run your business like a machine. You're going to post content every single day. You're going to network. You'll have amazing family adventures. You'll be present. You'll be productive. And you'll be calm. You'll be disciplined at the same time. You'll be everything and you'll become superhuman. That's the plan. And it works for a week. And then it all hits. Your kids get ill. Your workload spikes. You sleep badly. Motivation disappears out the back door. You miss a session, then 3, and then the routine breaks. And then the guilt piles up. And then you start feeling like a fraud. And you stop. By month 3, you're faltering badly. And by month 6, it's like you never started. Again, I know this because I've been there and got several t-shirts. I had a year, maybe 5-6 years ago, where I basically tried to implement all the things I tell people to do. The routines, health stuff, journaling, extra things. All of it, the whole lot. And it was brilliant for a month. It was okay for 2. By month 3, things started dropping off. By month 5, I was barely doing any of it. And exactly as I just said, by month 6, I was so far out of routine, it was honestly like I'd never even begun. Back to square one. With the added bonus now of the guilt and feeling annoyed about it. And the problem isn't that any of those habits are bad. Most of them are great. The problem is you're piling on change, not slowly building it. You're chasing a version of yourself that you think you should be, which is some kind of borrowed definition of success again, not one that you've decided. You're trying to look like someone who has it all together, who's got things under control, rather than someone who's actually trying to build into the person who has it all together. Because when it gets hard, you'll call quitting protecting your peace. And you'll tell yourself, oh, I'm burnt out. You'll tell yourself it's too much. And maybe it is, but not because you're weak. It's because the plan was really ill thought out. So what's the solution? Well, pick again one thing, maybe 2, and that's it. I would go with 1. Install it slowly, weeks, not days, and make it so easy, it's almost like, what's the point in doing it? If you want a morning routine, start with 2 minutes. If you want to train at the gym, start with once or twice a week. If you want to post content, start with 1 strong post in a week, not 7 rubbish ones. It's far better to slowly build than to slowly drift. The important thing is not what you're doing in 2 months' time, but in 2 years' time. I was working with a client just this week, and he sent me this timetable he's going to have throughout the day. He works about 50 hours in the middle of the week, but he sent me this timetable what he's going to do from 4:30 in the morning until his work, and then from 5:30 until 9 in the evening. It was chock full, and it looked amazing. And I said, it's completely up to you. I'm a coach. I'm not telling you what to do. I might make an observation or a suggestion. He's like, yeah, sure. What is it? I said, get rid of 90% of it. And he looked shocked, I think would be a good word. And he's like, really? He was like, yeah. He said, you're going to do this for a week. I said, how do you feel about it? And he's like, I feel okay. I said, are you excited to do it? And he was like, yeah. I was like, okay. Really excited? He's like, well, I'm a bit nervous. I'm not really sure how I'm going to fit it all in. I said, if you're thinking that now, I guarantee in a month's time, this will be gone. He's like, okay, so what do I do? I said, get rid of 90% of it. In everything you want to do, he wants to learn a new language. He wants to go to a few clubs. He wants to go to more networking events. I said, start these habits and do 5 minutes a day. Do 1 event a month. The goal at the beginning is to get the habit in motion. It is not how much time you spend on it. Start all of your habits, but do them for 5 minutes. Let's review in 2 weeks' time, a month's time, see how it's going. Slowly build up. I said, I want you to be going strong by the end of the year, not going gung-ho in the first 2 months, burning out at the halfway point, and then it's like you never began, exactly as you've said. Okay? Put in place routines that are insultingly easy to begin with, and then build up from there. You might think you're downplaying it. You might think you're being unambitious. I promise you, it is a better way to build long-lasting change. If you just want short-term results for a very short time period and you're not fussed about anything sticking, then ignore everything I'm saying. But that's not who I work with. I work with people who want to create long-lasting change in their lives. So if that's you, that's an approach that I would encourage you to take. And that's the approach I take now. I implement slowly until it becomes a habit and it feels normal, whatever it is I'm trying to do, until I do it on a bad day. And only then, when I know it's in place, do I go to the next thing. This is how you build a life you can actually sustain, instead of building like a January version of you that just collapses a few months later, as soon as life gets difficult or inconvenient. And as an entrepreneur, this matters even more. You do not need a perfect month. You need a steady year. Your goal isn't to go wild in January. The goal is still to be going in October. All right, mistake number 3. You're going to try to please everyone. And this one is massive. And it does show up in business as well as in general life. People pleasing is you outsourcing your identity. You make your decisions based on what will be approved or what you think will be approved, what will get you praise, what will stop conflict. And when you do that, you stop building the life you actually want and you start building a life that looks good from the outside. In business, it'll look like chasing other people's metrics. You decide, and we're coming back to this theme again, you decide that success means really whatever the internet says it means. 6 figures, 7 figures, 10K months, certain number of followers, certain lifestyle. And then you start making choices that look like that, rather than to build what's actually right for you or that you care about. For some people, success is profit and growth. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. For others, it's freedom, time with their family. Maybe it's better health, less stress, more meaningful work. None of these are good or bad or right or wrong. But you have to pick your game. Otherwise, you end up playing everybody else's. And the irony is that people pleasing makes you far less effective and less profitable because it makes you bland, it makes your messaging bland, you're focused on something you don't care about, it makes your positioning all fuzzy, it makes you afraid to be specific. It makes you undercharge, makes you over deliver. It makes you say yes to clients that you should really be saying no to. It makes you avoid polarizing anyone, so you end up just being memorable to absolutely nobody. Again, been there. This isn't just a marketing issue, it's a confidence issue. Because every time you betray what you actually think to keep somebody else happy that probably doesn't care about you that much, your self-trust falls through the floor. You become less decisive, less clear, less grounded, and then clarity is like, it's a real job. So what's the solution to this? You need to decide your definition of success before the year gets noisy and write it down. We're coming back to the similar things again. What does success actually look like you by the end of 2026? Not what looks impressive. This is the thing. What would make you genuinely proud even if nobody saw it? What would put your smile on your face come the end of the year, even if it was kept a secret to yourself? Then you need to decide who you are not trying to impress. Because if you're building a business, you have to be willing to disappoint some people. Some people won't like your content. Someone will think your pricing is too high. Someone won't like your boundaries. And you know what? You'll survive. In fact, you'll thrive. Because the moment you stop trying to please everyone is the moment your message gets sharper, your offers get clearer, and your confidence in your business and in yourself becomes more stable. And number 4, you're going to try to do it alone. This one is a bit of a killer. It looks like strength. It looks like independence. But there's a big difference between being capable and being isolated. Communities are getting rarer. Genuine friendship is diminishing. You can order food, shop, learn, and distract yourself without speaking to anyone. And again, if you're a business owner, you can spend months behind a laptop or computer screen or phone convincing yourself you're building when really you're just in your own head. With nobody to challenge you, nobody to reflect back what you can't see, and nobody to pull you forwards when you have a little wobble. I've lost count of the number of times I've had a conversation with someone and they've said, I wish I'd spoken to you sooner. And I get it because I've had the same experiences. There have been moments in my life where I've been stuck on something for ages, circling the same problem again and again. And then I speak to someone and within 20 minutes, they've given me ideas that I genuinely hadn't considered and it takes me out of that loop. And it's not because I'm stupid, but because when you're inside your own brain, you have blind spots. Most people only realize how much further ahead they'd be with support from somebody else after they finally go and get support, whether accidentally or whether they seek it out. They struggle alone, overthink alone, make slow progress alone. Then they have one conversation and go, oh, well, that would have saved me months of time, effort, and energy. How do you solve this one? Build a circle. Not just a social circle for fun, although that is really important. Build a growth circle. People who push you. People who tell you the truth. People who have done what you're trying to do. mentors, peers, communities, and yes, even a coach if that's the right fit. Not because you're broken, but because speed matters and perspective matters and accountability matters and makes a difference. Don't overthink it. If you've got no circle right now, start small. One person you respect, one conversation a month, one event where you actually talk to people rather than standing in the corner pretending to check emails. I see you. One community where you show your face and contribute instead of lurking. Momentum loves proximity. You become like who you spend your time with, whether you mean to or not. And look, you need to hear this. Independence is not strength. Strength is being able to rely on people and also being reliable yourself. Let me land this whole episode with something simple. If you want to win in 2026, stop looking for motivation. Stop looking for new personality. Stop looking for a magic strategy. Don't make these mistakes. This is how you'll fail in 2026. Instead, focus on foundations. Cut down the noise. Commit to one plan. Do less, but do it consistently. Stop chasing approval and define success for yourself. Stop isolating and instead build a circle around you. If you do these things, you won't just be more successful, you'll be more confident, because confidence is built through self-trust. And self-trust is built by choosing your lane and showing up even when it's not exciting. That's all for today. If you want to team up with me as your coach so we can build your confidence and your 2026 plan properly, head to joshsuttoncoaching.com and we can have a conversation. You can find out more. I'm your coach, Josh Sutton. Let's talk confidence.